America is a nation in crisis. Over the last 20 years, our world economic leadership has eroded to the point that other countries are eating our lunch. The world has changed. Our former competitive advantages, natural resources, capital, technology, and our human resources that provide a stable, productive workforce have been eroded by inevitable globalization. Brainpower, which is not confined to any one country, has become the competitive advantage in the 21st century, making education at the center of global competition in this century. Yet America faces the challenge with an educational system that is entrenched in educating our children for a world that does not exist anymore. After 20-plus years of bureaucratic stagnation and misdirected focus, the rest of the world, not so entrenched by bureaucracy, is innovating and educating their children for a modern world. The result is potentially catastrophic for America if something is not done to change course, and you can see the warning signs everywhere. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development compares achievement levels of 15-year-olds in its 30-member countries. The most recent testing ranks the United States at 17th for science literacy, 24th for math literacy, and 16th for reading proficiency. America's share of the world's college students has fallen to less than half of what it was 30 years ago. A 2007 Time magazine article cited test results comparing the best and brightest math students in 6 countries. The U.S. tied with Estonia near the bottom of the test group. In that same article in Time magazine, the writer wonders out loud whether our current educational system is squandering a national resource, our best young minds. Why are major corporations moving jobs out of the country, especially high-paying technology jobs? It's not just lower wages. We're just not turning out a labor force ready to compete in a global economy. Microsoft's Bill Gates puts it bluntly, America's high schools are obsolete. He's leading a major advocacy movement to get our outdated, ineffective, standardized testing in this country completely overhauled before it's too late. Intel's senior vice president fears for our competitive future as a nation. This is not a problem that can be fixed with bureaucratic positioning or band-aids. Our nation's future is at serious risk. As one of our great thought leaders, Lester Thoreau of MIT, expressed in his landmark book, Head to Head, if we do not get a handle on this problem of non-functionals entering the labor market, the United States will become, not maybe, we will be a third world labor market by the year 2030. Why is this happening? How could it have come to this level of crisis? To understand why, we must only understand the rapidly growing complexity and explosion of knowledge and technology that began with the Industrial Revolution and has accelerated exponentially through the communications revolution and now the Internet revolution. Look at what is expected of today's high school graduate. It is estimated they will have, on average, 8 to 15 careers, not jobs, 8 to 15 careers during their lifetime, even if they stay with the same company. This is paradigm shifting in its implications for educating our children for this 21st century world. Throughout the graduate's lifetime, he or she will be challenged to continually learn and relearn. Whatever information is learned in school will be obsolete within moments of graduating. It is the facility and agility to learn and relearn, to learn how to learn, that will ensure competitive success in this century. So where does the U.S. educational system stand in this time of crisis? Well, it's still focusing on acquiring discipline-based content knowledge in the core curriculum. Our schools are about teaching content, lifting scores on obsolete standardized tests that can make or break careers, ruin school districts, and, oh, by the way, label children potentially for a lifetime. This is not how we will compete and win in the global marketplace or allow our children to reach their full potential, to live the life we want so desperately for our children. A recent study presented the skills needed to succeed in the 21st century. Compare these skills with what is being taught in our educational system today. The first skill needed for success in this century is creativity and the ability to innovate. The second skill needed is a facility to use ideas and abstractions. Third is the self-discipline and organization to manage one's work, to understand process and sequence, and drive that work through to a successful conclusion, to closure. The fourth skill needed for success in this century is the ability to strategize and think independently. And lastly, the ability to function well as a member of a team. Okay, so how well do you think the U.S. educational system is turning out graduates ready to compete with the rest of the world? The results speak for themselves. Folks, we are in crisis mode. Finding a solution in this crisis begins, as is usually the case, with the fundamentals of learning. The U.S. educational system is based on an assumption that is far too consistently inaccurate, that students arrive at school ready to learn, that their brain is properly wired to successfully process the school curriculum. The fact is, over 90% of students who have chronic problems learning content material arrive at schools lacking fundamental learning abilities. Modern childhood environments are often not conducive to wiring up the brain for optimum learning ability. Cramped into cities and suburbs where children early in life don't always get the wide-ranging motor and cognitive stimulation of active play to properly wire up the brain. When they arrive at school, their cognitive skills often have not fully developed, and their brain may not be fully integrated. They are simply not ready to learn at a peak performance level. So how do we deal with this fact of modern American life, a circumstance that will not change quickly? Can we look to our school system for change? Don't hold your breath. This is a system entrenched in bureaucracy, huge budgets, and held captive by a multi-billion-dollar standardized testing industry. Can we look to government for change? Again, powerful lobbying and entrenched special interests make change here slow and methodical. Only the power of an aroused, energized citizenry, mobilized to action by their hearts and wisdom, can bring real change before it's too late. Save our children, save our country must become a resounding battle cry throughout America, a learning revolution, a parents' revolution. We predict this will be a revolution led by the parents of this country, rising up to save their children from being left behind in this increasingly competitive world, partnering with brave, dedicated teachers and administrators who will fight for our children. Stop labeling our children with cruel standardized testing, which is so often misused, and start looking to the unique strengths of every individual and to the tools that brain science has recently developed that can be used by parents and teachers to help our children. To help, we must believe in our children and the miraculous capacity of their brains to learn and relearn as the world changes, to learn how to learn for a lifetime of competitive success and fulfillment. This is the true American dream, and we can regain our greatness one child, one brain at a time, individual and unique, integrated and tuned for peak performance in the 21st century. Save our children, save our country. Join the Learn to Learn revolution. Join us today.